talk a little bit, like we did earlier, about how this technology actually strips away some of the things blocking us from really being more connected with our humanity.
Absolutely. One of the things about light is that light has an amazing innate intelligence. Light is kind of represents kind of the essence of life itself. There would be no life without light, and there would be no light without energy. I mean, it's kind of fundamental to who we have become. It's fundamental to the health of our metabolic and emotional health. So when I began working with Iris, I really was looking at kind of the timeless history of humanity, going back to the earliest recorded histories of people modulating their experience and really modulating their consciousness in the kind of the innate human quest for expanded consciousness. And so all through history you will see, from indigenous cultures to very sophisticated spiritual practices, traditions and meditations and processes where they're working with focusing on light. Whether it's the Buddhist dark retreat meditation, which has to do with going into absolute darkness and experiencing the light within the mind, which is profound, or meditating perhaps on a candle, or perhaps meditating on flickering light coming off of water. All of these things have induced amazing phenomena within the brain, and a lot of them are geometric. So this idea of phosphenes, or what you might call a form constant is another word, are not well understood in the world of neuroscience, but they are legendary in terms of the human experience and the evolution of cultures going back to the earliest recordings. And even you can find pictures of these patterns as pictographs and on tens of thousands of years old. So humans have had this quest for forever.
Maybe you can give people a few examples of what do you mean by these form constants, because I think that's a great point, that humans keep recreating the same kind of fundamental experience no matter when or where they came from. So to make sure everybody knows what we're talking about, when you say form constant, give some examples of that.
Okay, and I think it's important to put it in a context. I mean, why do humans have this quest for altered states? I think that's kind of fundamental to why I'm doing this, and why it ties into what my first comments were about kind of this hijacked sensory body that we live in now, given the technologies that we're interacting with all the time. From my perspective, and I'm an artist, so I interpret science in a way that really has to do with the living sensory experience of life and art. And one of the experiences I've had is that the conditioned mind, whatever it might be, and it could just be in your daily life, what your ritual is, what your job is, how you grew up, the conditioned mind in all of these practices, no matter where you look, at what time in history, we're all about releasing the grip of the conditioned mind on our experience and our behavior, so we can step back and look at our lives and put things into perspective. And so, to me, that's why the human being has sought altered states of consciousness, is just to have an experience of releasing that conditioned mind for a period of time, it's almost resetting the system. And people have awarenesses during this time. So, coming back to Ben's question, by engaging in practices like Iris, where you are looking at it's a light that moves back and forth in a rhythm. It's just two colors. They have a specific rhythm that set a brain pattern, a brainwave pattern, and these brainwave patterns allow you to induce geometric patterns that can be fractal-like, they can be grids, they can be spirals. I think what these are, and from the known neuroscience, we are always looking for visual meaning in the world. And so our brains are set up to reflect the kind of what someone might call the sacred geometry of the universe. We're looking for patterns in the stars, we're looking for patterns in nature, we're looking for depth. We're looking for action and movement. And so these patterns are kind of implicit parts of our humanity that when, like, I'm looking out at you know, 50 people out here, within that pattern of grid, I'm being able to identify, and the brain is going to be able to process that.
That's brilliant.